We are ready. We are live. Everybody can record their own set. Hey, everybody. Hi, Facebook. Everybody that's there right now, which is very few usually, or at home without pants on. Whatever you're doing, just don't tell us. Just sit back and relax and enjoy the show, which is called Veterans for Military. And it's always co-hosted with either Chris Crawford or today Liz Freesius, my best two co-hosts on the planet, the very best that there is. And we have a regular, a very wonderfully clean comic, David G. Scott. He's always a regular. And today, the Bob Hope guest spot, special honoring of Helene Witt. And we're going to get to that in a little bit because that deserves its own intro. But for right now, I want to take a minute for Liz to point to a sign that's to her right and up. There we go. She's doing the Vanna thing. And it's ahabroadway.org. That's our one paid sponsor. Woo! Give it up for Aha Broadway. They not only are our sponsor, they are there in New York and on Zoom worldwide to help children, seniors, and veterans learn comedy, stand-up comedy, improv comedy, and acting. So go to Aha Broadway, show them love and support, see what classes are available that you might want to take. You might want to up your comedy game or get started on it, and Aha Broadway is the way to go. So now on to the show. I love you guys so much for watching. Let's see if we remember how to laugh and clap our hands. Okay, let's count of three. Pretend I said a really funny punchline. All right, just you get to imagine what it is. What would somebody that looks like this say that's funny? And you get to show me you know how to laugh and clap. Ready? 1, 2, 3. There we go. That's it. That's how we do it. That's what you can do at home too. This show needs to be presented to veterans and military. So share it too. Okay. And I'm glad people here have their mics and their cameras on so that we can hear you laugh and see that you're paying attention to each other's sets. I appreciate you all so very much. Thank you. So a little bit about me, or a lot, whatever. My name is Linda Marcus Smith. You might say, do you really need 3 names? Really? No, I don't. But the thing is I want to correct history. In history, people with 3 names have gotten a very bad rap. You know, John Wayne Gacy, for instance, he had 3 names, bad rap. John Wilkes Booth, bad rap. That one really upsets me because he wasn't even an actor and he only had one headshot he was famous for. Is that too dark? You know, that's not fair. Most of us have to get headshot after selfies, and oh my gosh, it's he just the first ones they hit, it goes viral. The headshot heard around the world. I need to stop with this premise now. I could go all day. Oh my gosh, I know what you're thinking. This lady is almost old and she's smiling too much. What's with her? There's a reason why I smile too much. I have visible psych issues. You're welcome. I've been told my whole life I smile too much. Listen, if you had overcome everything I did in all these years, you'd be smiling too, just having come out of it. I'm telling you. I had a birthday. Yep, it's a big deal. People usually clap for that, but I'll overlook it. It was way back in March. Yeah, I had a birthday. I turned 21 for the 3rd time. Plus none of your business. You know, like I like math because people can't keep up with it. It's awesome. I hide my age in a math equation. I'm killing it with that. except for this year on my birthday, my twin brother, Fred, he's my twin. He embarrassed me because he came out as a 70-year-old. I don't do that, Fred. I use math. It confuses people. Now I'm busted. Everybody knows my age. My twin brother, Fred, is funnier than I am. You know, he says, for instance, you look just like me in drag. And so I like to stay, you know, I don't want anything to get the better of me. So it's much better to give than it is to receive. So I let him receive a compliment as well. I said, you were born 30 minutes after me, Fred. That makes you my afterbirth. We women got to stay on top of this. We've been on the bottom too long. Well, you know, I know what you're thinking watching me there from home. You're thinking, she looks just like Marilyn Monroe. I get that a lot, you know, but I don't take my looks seriously. I got to tell you, I don't. You know, people say, I get done doing jokes and they go, oh, you're so beautiful. What about the jokes? I don't care about the looks. I don't even think I look like Marilyn, you know, because like I got to thinking about it. If you took her very best photo, let's say the from the steam thing on the ground, if you take your best photo and age progressed it to my age, I look way better. I'm just kidding. I got to do something with this, you know, like I don't think I look like Marilyn. I think if Marilyn had had a sister and her sister really couldn't sing and really couldn't act, I mean, really couldn't, that'd be more like me. Does anybody know Kate Clancy? Oh yeah, that's Brian Barbecue. You got to have a memory for this job. And so I think I look like if Marilyn Monroe had had a sister who couldn't act or sing and had to pop out of a cake and sing happy birthday to Ted Kennedy. That's my Marilyn. It's really hard to sing happy birthday from the bottom of a lake, isn't it?
Oh, man.
And we're going dark. This is my dark Saturday set. Oh my gosh. But I grew up in a little town nobody's ever heard of in the news lately at all, Portland, Oregon. Oh my gosh. They took Keep It Weird and Just Do It, merged the two, and they just done did it, the town red. I had a favorite statue in Portland. It was of a deer. They decided to tear it down and torch the deer, made out of brass. So now Portland can say, we are Keep It Weird, we are Just Do It, and the bucks did stop there. Yeah, my town, when I grew up there, it was quiet and serene. I used to have to ride a really slow trolley, Brian, all the way across town to go and shop really fast. Well, I went shoplift fast. That's what it was. Selective memory here. Yeah, I did shoplift a lot. I was really, have you ever been so good at something you had to quit? Somebody said yesterday, maybe masturbating, and I'm like, that is not the intent of the joke. Hello, keep it clean. Talking about shoplifting. Stay with me, folks. Man, it's a rough business, I'll tell you. But yeah, I was so good at shoplifting, I had to quit so I wouldn't get in trouble. And I realized I'm quitting because it's wrong. And I felt bad. So I went back to the store that I had almost turned into a nonprofit. And I said, oh, I'm so sorry. You know, I've been stealing. What can I do to make it up? And they said, like, just don't come back. How's that? Like, that's fair. So yeah, nothing happened with a court order and I never got in trouble. But that was in the 60s, born in the 50s, shoplifted through the 60s. And then in the 70s, I became a wanted woman. Can you believe it? Like I look so innocent. I was wanted and I found it out at the post office. Ay, ay, ay. He was following me, and his eyes were, and he pointed and said he wanted me. It was Uncle Sam, Brian. He wanted me. It was a poster of Uncle Sam. He wanted me. I'm a boomer. Boomers don't say no to a man, no matter how old they are. So I went in the army, and they took my little happy half Jewish behind, this is my clean set, and put me in the middle of Germany. Me, half Jewish, Germany. Oh my gosh, they should have checked my record. Take that, Hitler. Back to the dark set on Saturday. Oh my gosh. I learned so much in the military. Do you know, look how neat and tidy I make my bed. I can bounce a quarter off this bed. That's what I learned. Now, I didn't learn that much in the military. They, when the men, look at Brian, he's like, when's this gonna be over?
I'm enjoying it. I'm at work too, don't forget.
I'm teasing you. When I was in the military, men and women were over, and nurses and medics were over in the jungles of Vietnam fighting. So I could tell jokes in English. Me, I was in Germany, mostly just yodeling in the Alps, you know, looking for Edelweiss with a lederhosen on, yodeling, nothing. I was the only woman on the post. I got treated so well. Why do you think I still smile at 21 times 3 plus none of your business? That's my time. I'm Linda Marcus Smith. Thank you guys. And now this show is gonna really get to rock, and you bet it is. I'm gonna give this whole shebang over to my co-host, who I love because she gets stuff done. And her name is Liz Fresius, and here you go. Take it away, Liz.
Ladies and gentlemen, keep it going for Linda Marcus Smith. We got a special treat for you today. Coming to us from the Veterans of Comedy. He's an Army veteran. He runs David G. Scott Clean Comedy. He is an absolute legend among our elderly community, going into the nursing homes and taking care of everybody, making them laugh. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for David G. Scott.
Hello. What an introduction. Thank you, Liz. I can't live up to it, but thank you. It's very nice. Anyway, remember during the pandemic and the lockdown, when basically all we could do was drive around? Here's the deal. I don't like driving around. Well, for one thing, I have trouble with signs. They're doing some work on the highway near where I live. Big sign there. Listen, I don't want to hit a highway worker, but if I do, you'll give me $10,000? Fine. And near where I live is a car dealership. There's a stop sign in the middle of their parking lot. And underneath it, there's another sign that says heavy pedestrian traffic. See, I think that's an insult to skinny pedestrians. What are you supposed to do when you see a skinny one? Instead of stopping, you're supposed to speed up and try to hit them? You get extra points because they're kind of skittish? Sign outside my gas station says attendant on duty cannot open safe. Okay, but don't rub it in. You don't need a sign for everything this poor guy can't do. Attendant on duty can't go 5 minutes without looking at his phone. Attendant on duty can't hold down a job long enough to move out of his parents' basement. Come on. He already feels bad enough working at a gas station. Sign at the mall got me in trouble the other day. It said 15-minute parking. I said, wow, that's convenient. So I parked there. Spent an hour looking for a store called 15 Minute. Never did find it. Finally, I gave up, went back to my car. There's a guy sitting there waiting to park, and he says, hey, pal, can't you read the sign? I said, I know, right? I'm as upset as you are. And we were both confused. You know how sometimes you see a sign driving down the highway, just kind of catch it out of the corner of your eye? That happened to me. It either said Big Sports Bar or big sports bra. So I went over there. Imagine my disappointment, just a bunch of guys sitting around drinking beer, watching TV. And I just found out something recently. Apparently I'm pregnant. At least that's what the sign said where I parked at the grocery store. So I'm thinking about getting a new car. I can't decide between a Nissan Maxima and a Nissan Altima, so I think I'll get a Nissan Multima, but it only comes in vanilla, chocolate, and strawberry. Anyway, the latest thing that stopped working on my car is the speedometer, but I took care of that. I got a pitch pipe, and now I roll over those bumps on the side of the highway. You know what I mean? Keep you between the lines. Those drunk bumps. You know what I'm talking about? Kids call them Twitter strips. Anyway, I roll over those to see how fast I'm going. Get out the pitch pipe. That's a C. That's about 50 miles an hour. That's a D. That's about 60 miles an hour. But if I roll over them and I hear, not sure how fast I'm going, but I think somebody owes me $10,000. So, little about me. I named my phone Elvis because it dies every time I'm on the toilet. Whoever put full volume doorbells in commercials has never owned a dog. I'm getting old, so I'm looking for a place that sells calendars by the month. Yeah, I'm not ready to commit for an entire year. I want to be rich, not extremely rich, just rich enough to buy a Jeep and replace the tire on the back with a giant glazed donut. I'm jealous of armadillos. They can curl up into a ball, just lie there, and people think that's perfectly fine. I'm also jealous of butterflies. They eat like crazy for 2 or 3 days, take a nap, and when they wake up, they're absolutely gorgeous. When I was a teenager, I was in a gang. We called ourselves the Electrical Workers Union Local 412. Our gang symbol was the same symbol utility companies used to indicate where to install a street light. And let me tell you, our neighborhood was very well lit. We wore our gang color, which was bright orange, on reflective vests. We wore hard hats backwards because we were rebels. We had to give up the gang life, though. When one of our gang members was hit by an old guy driving a car, and for some reason we had to give him $10,000. I never understood that. You know, here's the deal: people that are my age are told to exercise. My problem is, I thought they said extra fries. Not the same. The other day I was in a store. I gave the clerk a $50 bill and she pulled out a counterfeit pen. And I said, "How do you know the pen isn't counterfeit?" She said, "What?" I said, "What you need is a pen to determine whether or not the counterfeit pen is counterfeit." She said, "What are you talking about?" I said, "You need a counterfeit pen. She didn't say anything, so I kept going. And then you need a pen to determine whether or not the counterfeit pen were counterfeit. She still didn't say anything, so I said, "You would need a counterfeit pen. She finally looked up, said, "Here's your change, Sparky. Now get out." Very, very upsetting because my name is not Sparky. My phone just recently filmed a 3-hour documentary of life inside my pocket. Instead of going to Starbucks, I write my name on a cup, pour myself a cup of coffee, yell my name out, and then set a $5 bill on fire. The main problem with the road less traveled is the poor cell phone reception. Today, I'm just a little hungry. I could only eat a pony. Some people call it PMS. I call it restless egg syndrome. I recently got an Apple Watch. The first day I had it, I wore it to bed. The next morning at 7 o'clock, it buzzed and said, "Get up." I said, "What? No." Apparently, it monitors my breathing and my heart rate, so I nicknamed it Santa Claus, because it knows when I'm sleeping, it knows when I'm awake. But if it ever figures out if I've been bad or good, I'm going to throw it in the lake. Oh, you better not shout. My cousin is starting a small piano store. Very exciting. Next week is the baby grand opening. You know who you never see together in public? Papa John and his son, Ginny. What exactly is a cold-blooded killer? Someone who murders reptiles? My name is David. I did not name my son David, but I wish I'd named him Harley, because then he could introduce himself as Harley, David's son. Recently, my son came up to me and he said, "Dad, I'm proud of you. You said you started to listen to rap music." And I said, no, you misunderstood. What I said was, the last time I fell, I heard my hip pop. Every morning, two cute little ducks come visit me on my patio, and I've started giving them bread. My friend Don said, "Don't do that. They eat too much bread, they'll get sick and die." I said, "I know. I hate ducks." Today, I helped an old man across the street by repeatedly honking at him. If I only had one word to describe myself, it would be not very good at following directions. My two favorite kinds of music are love songs and songs that welcome me to the jungle. Last one, shout out to my 4 favorite bags: punching, grab, barf, and Papa's got a brand new. Thank you so much. This has been a hoot. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, David G. Scott. Now, where can we find you on the internet?
I'm so glad you asked. My name is David G. Scott. I do clean comedy. And curiously, my website is davidgscottcleancomedy.com.
Yay.
Thank you, Liz.
When is your next show?
Oh, coming up. I got a couple of them, 2 coming up on, I'm doing 2 shows on November 6th. They're both fundraisers, so that should be fun. But I do shows at nursing homes in the Kansas City area, and I just got another gig yesterday. So now I'm scheduled to do 7 shows at nursing homes in the month of October. So that should be a lot of fun. That should be a lot. Those guys are great. Very appreciative.
Ladies and gentlemen, keep it going for David G. Scott. To the stage. He keeps us on track here at Veterans for Comedy for what is going on in the civilian community. He is the host of Meat Slap. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for Brian Barbecue.
Yeah.
Wow, that's the nicest intro I've ever gotten. Thank you so much for having me. I always feel a little intimidated following David because he's actually funny and I'm what we call a hack. Like I can do so many like jokes. It's like, gosh, I tell a 5-minute story and I get a little winded. You know what I'm saying? I have to eat a cheeseburger afterwards or something. Oh my goodness. Let's just dive right in and pretend like I started my timer. Either way, I'm excited to be here. Let's talk about love. Everyone's in love here, right? Sure, for the sake of this joke, why not? You ever feel like, though, you met someone you could build like an actual loving and trusting relationship with, and then realize you're just drunk and crying on top of a mall Santa? Am I right, you guys? Come on. I'm trying, you know? Thought it was weird given the time of year, but I was like, screw it. That's a sexy Santa. Let's get into it. It's October. I don't know. You know, like I'm married. You know, like when you're lying in bed with your partner and you're staring up at the ceiling and they're on their side crying or whatever. I like to spice things up and I like to play games and stuff. Like I'll pretend like I'm about to spit up in the air and see who it's going to land on. And then when my wife ducks under the covers, I can fart in her face. It's pretty fun. I recommend everyone trying it out when you're bored. I'm just giving David good material for the senior folks. You know what I'm saying? Like, and if that joke doesn't work, you can just tell it to him again in 10 minutes. You know what I'm saying? I was thinking, I drive a 1988 Dodge Aries station wagon, and I am just saying that just to brag right now. But my timing belt had to get fixed the other day, and I was just thinking about other crappy cars I've had throughout the years. We're all comedians. We all have crappy cars. And I used to drive a Ford Contour. If you don't know what that is, it's like a mom boat. But basically, my timing belt, my 1995 Ford Contour, the timing belt unraveled on the highway and my engine exploded while I was a delivery driver at this sandwich shop. It was one of the most sad moments of my life. I was 19. My car exploded and was on fire. And I was just thinking about how when that happened, I pulled over and I ate my delivery. I was just so bummed. I just ate 3 sandwiches and was like, yeah, they need you to remake it. It got cold. I love delivery. I love takeout food. I don't know if that surprises anyone from a guy that hosts a meat slap mic, but I had a rare experience real recently. I was hanging out with a friend of mine and I was like, hey, I'm going to order Chinese food. Do you want anything? And he was like, yeah, can I see a menu? Who needs a menu for that? Just tell me what you want. I'll figure out what the battleship number is, and then we'll get it figured out. Like General Tso's chicken, yeah, I'm pretty sure they have that, Jay, you know. But this is where it became a unique experience is I called in and I ordered the Chinese food, and they never showed up. They never showed up, and then I just didn't call about it. Like we both just said, screw it, let's not do this. We realized the mistake like immediately, probably on the 3rd order of crab rangoon, but whatever, you dim some, you lose some, you guys. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, that wasn't the best joke I've ever written. Thank you. The only takeout spot I don't like is Domino's. I know that, does that surprise people? Are there some Domino's fans here tonight? I mean, it's the only option at 3 a.m., but whatever. But like, it's not food. Like the box, that's just the crust. And then they put a few ketchup packets on it and that's sauce. And then they slap an American single on it. And then I go, who else is going to bring you something at 3 a.m.? Domino's, that's who, you know? I'd rather have Papa John's. At least I have some self-respect. You know what I'm saying? But that's as far as my self-respect goes. I had a pretty dumb moment recently. I see that there's some people with glasses in here. Where are my glasses people at, right? I'm afraid of contacts. I've never been cool with them ever since I saw my mom stick glass in her eye when I was a little kid. That's always been terrifying. So I always wear my glasses, but I need them. I'm blind without my glasses, but has anyone ever done this? I almost did it, but didn't do it. I was about to go in the shower and I forgot to take my glasses off. But last second, I was like, because who hasn't done that, right? You're in the shower. You're like, why can I see everything? And then you get all wet. And I'm like, oh, I'm an idiot. So I was like, whoo, nailed it. Good call. Put my glasses on the counter. And then I hopped in the shower and still had my socks on. Hell yeah. Like, almost. Almost. I don't know. It's just like having a nice car and living in the woods. It's like it's sad and no one sees it. You know what I'm saying? Like, let's do some crowd work, right? You guys are fun. I like this because I asked my friends these questions and they refuse to answer me at this point. So, like, vampires or werewolves? What would y'all rather be, a vampire or a werewolf?
Werewolf, no question.
Why no question? I have so many questions, actually.
Well, vampires are stuck. Every morning you wake up, you're a vampire. Werewolf is like once a month. I can deal with that.
See, I'm the same way. That's what I say, at least. And that's actually the more practical answer. Normally, it's like whatever people say. I swear to God, it's either like vampires are sexy or they think werewolves are sexier. I'm like, we need to stop rating monsters on how sexy you find them. I really don't get it. It always would. You're like the outlier, me and you, because I was like werewolf. I'll just chain myself up like the wolf man to the wall like once a month, and then I'll just be a nightmare, or maybe like once in a while I'll let loose and just terrorize the village or whatever. But vampire, I don't know. I don't want to live forever. Like even right now, 32 is already getting rough for me. But no more. And then everyone's like, Brian, well, what's the sexiest monster? It's like, well, obviously it's mummies because they're just zombies in nicely dressed clothes. So that answers that once and for all. Whatever, you guys. So David, you're a lawyer. Help me out here. I need some law advice. No, I need legal advice, and this is the closest I can get without paying a retainer. Is this entrapment, you guys? I was driving my newly fixed Dodge Aries station wagon, and I got pulled over by a cop. What the heck? I don't know. He came over. It was like noon. He knocked on my window, which is aggressive. It's daytime. I see you. I have my glasses on. So I roll down the window. He sticks his head all the way in my car, and he's like, damn, smells like really good weed in here. I don't know what he was talking about. Maybe I just hit a skunk or something. And I was just like, thank you. All of a sudden, this guy turns into a huge mean guy. He just pulls me out of the car. He's shining a flashlight in my face, even though it's daytime. He's like grilling the heck out of me. He's just like, where are you headed? And I was like, McDonald's? I thought you were supposed to tell the truth in that situation. And he's like, why? Do you have the munchies? It's like, no, I'm just fat and I want it. Like, what's the big deal? Right? I'm just going to eat the ice cream on the way home and then eat the burger in bed and then have to vacuum my bed because I live with somebody now and my wife won't like that. She's like, why are you always vacuuming the bed? I'm like, because I'm loving it, But hey, you guys were a lot of fun. Thank you so much for having me. Enjoy the rest of your show, and thanks again.
Oh, keep it going for Brian Barbecue.
Yeah.
So Brian, where can we find you next?
Meat Slap Mike every Tuesday. Me and my beautiful wifey for lifey, Ham Clancy. Yes, that is her God-given name. Ham. No, it's her nickname, Ham. And I run the Meat Slap Mike every Tuesday, and we do virtual writers group every Sunday, which is a chance for people to just come and write with us and all that jazz.
Fantastic, ladies and gentlemen. Keep it going for Brian Barbecue.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to swipe a couple minutes here because I will tell you flat out, I'm jealous. I am absolutely jealous. Helene is from New York. Linda's from Portland. Dave, I know we've talked before, your hometown.
It's a compromise between Portland and New York, Kansas City.
Kansas City. And Brian, what's your hometown?
I live in Ellington, Connecticut, but me and my wife are moving to a new state soon. So for now, Connecticut.
Where are you going to be moving to?
I don't want to jinx it because we haven't locked down an apartment, but let's just say it's more in David's neck of the woods.
Oh,
and
great.
they love corn out there.
See, I am so jealous of you guys. You guys got hometowns. I grew up in the Navy, which means when I was born, I came with a map, a compass, and a personalized game of Where's Waldo. I went to 6 different schools before first grade. My teachers couldn't figure out why I was reciting the French alphabet with a Texas accent. Kindergarten graduation, I got voted most likely to be the new kid. You guys got Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. I got The Nightmare on Sesame Street. My parents mainstream me all over the world. And so you show up on the playground. What's the one commonality? Every place? Sesame Street. I got circled around in the playground every time. One of these things is not like the others. One of these things just doesn't belong. You guys get to go to a high school reunion. I have to pay $8,000 to get to all the high schools I ever went to. So true to form, after 18 years of that, I turned around and joined the military. The Air Force Academy is a really weird place because not only is it a university and a military installation, it's also a tourist attraction. We've got this beautiful chapel with a big old wall next to the chapel. All the tourists line up on it and they take all 4,000 cadets and parade them in front of that wall. We started calling it the Blue Zoo. Didn't realize how accurate it was till somebody hung up a sign that says, please don't feed the cadets. 4 years of that, you get a guaranteed good job at how to kill people and break things. Yeah, I make a lot of jokes about the military, but I loved being military. You know, Linda was in back in the 70s. Dave did a career in. I've been, you know, I was in for 30 years before I retired. And the catch is trying to explain to civilian family members what a military job is, because a lot of times it doesn't translate. So my husband and I, in fact, I don't know if you can see him on screen here. Nope, he's not showing up here. But my husband and I were both military. And we went home, and here's Aunt Vera, 3 sheets to the wind enlisting.
Liz, I haven't seen you in so long. Where you keeping yourself?
So Richard and I are both in the Air Force. He's flying tankers.
What's that?
So it means he refuels other aircraft.
Oh, so he's a gas station attendant, is he?
My Jimmy was just made night manager of Circle K.
You should quit being a bum. Tell him to go into management. You got any kids?
I said, no, I'm a squadron commander.
What does that mean?
It means I've got troops, and they wreck the cars and knock up their girlfriends the same as any teenager.
Well, my Jimmy just had his 6th.
If you know anything about cousin Jimmy, the man is a total deadbeat. He's got 5 girlfriends, and he doesn't pay child support for any of those kids.
Well, yeah, that's a biblical thing.
How you figure?
The Bible says be fruitful and multiply. It doesn't say anything about paying child support.
See, the toughest thing about being military, I got out last year, and I make an awful civilian. They send us to training in the Pentagon, trying to teach us how to be civilians. I did so poorly, I got sent to remedial training. The career counselor sits me down. He says, Liz, what are you good at? I said, killing and bombing. He said, stand-up comedy. I said, sign me up. See, most of the comics on scene nowadays, they're half my age. They're worried about disappointing their parents. I got to disappoint the entire Department of Defense. See, the problem is when I got hired in by the civilian community, I found out I am terrible at communicating with the younger generation who are civilians. Here I am, a supervisor, new on the job, and one of my young ladies is running late. And she walks in. I was like, you're late. She said, well, yeah, I got mugged. I said, oh my God, are you okay? She said, oh yeah, there was no crime. I just stopped at Starbucks. I said, wait.
She says, oh, it's pronounced latte, but this is a cappuccino.
I had another kid who came in and said, dude, it was an all-night poker game at the dispensary the other day. I played my cards right. I won the pot. I said, that is the stupidest comment I've ever heard. Well, apparently that's not politically correct to say in the civilian community. I got written up by HR. Actually, truth is, I got fired faster than the girl at Benihana's. So I walk over to the church, and here's one of the ladies.
Oh, dearie, just give it to God. Just give it all to God.
Well, if God wants my secondhand crap, he better change his name to Goodwill. I will admit, I love Bob Ross, huge fan of Bob Ross, the painter. He always said, there are no mistakes in life. There's just happy little accidents. Try telling that to a teenage girl. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that is my time. So we've got a very special treat for you today. We met on Zach Handa's Mojo Ministry mic. She is the reason why Linda Marcus Smith and I were introduced to each other. She's from New York, one of my favorite comics in the United States. Ladies and gentlemen, in our Bob Hope slot, put your hands together for Helene Witt.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you so much. David, and to the audience. I think I met Liz at a mic when the pandemic first hit. There was a list of mics that you could go to at the very beginning. And Liz and I were on this mic with this young boy. And I say boy, because wait till you hear it. He's in his grandmother's basement and he's smoking weed and then he's drinking. But I swear by the end of the mic, he was slurring his words. And being a New York City school teacher and a little old fashioned with this situation, my heart went out to him and I said, I don't like the idea that he's running this mic, and I'm slowly watching him get more and more stoned as it went on. And I think that's where I met Liz. I was so inspired that she was like her whole career was in the service, and I was so inspired by her in that moment. And I told Linda about it right away. But something funny happened at that mic, and this guy, all of them seemed like they were smoking and drinking together, even though we were on Zoom. And one of them yells out right in front of me, you know what, that old lady, but he called me worse than old lady, like that old lady is funnier than all you young kids put together. So it was like an insult, but I liked it. I never went back to him. And now he's doing all these wonderful things. Liz says she's doing something for him. So maybe he turned it around, but I felt for his grandmother. She's upstairs. He's putting on these. Anyway, you got the point. Well, you might be looking at, especially David, he doesn't know me. And you might be saying, is she the love child of Barry Manilow and Dr. Ruth? I can't be, because I'm almost Barry Manilow's age. I think he's like 1 year older than me. Wow. And I'm glad this show's in the afternoon. I was ready at 6 o'clock this morning. I was so excited because some of the shows, and Linda knows this, I don't show up on the show because they're in California and they're at midnight for me. So I call them the past my bedtime theater. I used that at the show that was on 11 o'clock every Friday. And after my set, the guy let me go first and I'd lay down. The trouble is, this girl goes, who's snoring and farting in the middle of my show? And Bruce said, that's not someone passing gas. Don't be ridiculous. That's Elaine snoring. She's laying down. It's not that she's bored. It's like 4 o'clock in the morning for her. So now we go to class. Linda and I go to this class and it's at 3 a.m. for Linda. And I go to Tokyo the other day. This isn't part of my set, but I'll say it anyway. The other day I had written down that I was going to a show. It was called, just to show you these are true, Unmuted Comedy. So it was in my book and I said, oh, it's at 8 o'clock. It was at 6 o'clock. That's the same time I got invited to another show in New York. So I said, too bad, they're both at the same time. And then I went to check, and right before I went to bed at 1:40 a.m., it was at 6 a.m. and I put my computer on so I wouldn't oversleep. They started to gab on the screen at 4 a.m. So I had 3 hours sleep. And I said, oh my goodness, I could go tonight. That's the good news. And the bad news is I'm on the stage in a few minutes. That was funny. So I'll tell you more about myself. I'm doing the Zoom shows. And we have this friend Ziggy, and he was born one day after me. And it's so funny because we were both born in Brooklyn in 2 hospitals with similar names, Brooklyn Women's Hospital and Brooklyn Jewish Hospital. So it's only natural, me getting older, I stare at Ziggy's wrinkles and I said, wow, Ziggy has more hair than me. I'm losing my hair every year. But I know where it's going. It's going to my knuckles. I made Dave laugh. Now my day's made, Linda. So, the other thing, Ziggy has a much thicker gray mustache than I do, Dave. But he doesn't like when I tell our age, but he's not here. And I will tell you, 2 years ago, I closed my eyes. Linda was there. We were in Philadelphia near the campus of Temple University. I'm dropping names like crazy. And we were putting on a show outside because the place closed down. We're freezing. And I blew out my candles and I closed my eyes and I wished for 69. Because I'm divorced. I was married. Well, it's a live show. I'm going to watch my politically incorrect thing. And it is a clean show. Not that I was going to say anything off color, Dave. But I was going to say I was married to people in two different backgrounds. So I was married to a Chinese guy after I was married to a Jewish guy. So, you know, they're just different, but in some ways they're very much the same. Like they're very cost conscious and they drive terribly. I cleaned it up a little, Linda. So I was a school teacher in New York City, and I taught in the toughest school in the whole city. Even though I taught second grade, these kids were so tough. This kid goes, teacher, teacher. I said, look at you, you're so motivated today. Usually you look so depressed. He said, yeah, because today I brought in the word of the day and show and tell. I said, what is it? He said, Glock, Glock. But he didn't shoot me and he spelled it right. So not only did I put him in third grade, I gave him a scholarship to go to college where he studied neuroscience and basketball. But yeah, it was a tough school. I mean, they don't just chew their pencils, they swallow the erasers. And anybody on Facebook from PS140, you know I'm telling you the truth. And when we were young, Dave, we used to carve our sweetheart's name in the desk. These kids carved their sweetheart's name in their sweetheart. And Liz, what were your school colors? Did you have school colors there in the service when you went to school?
Blue and silver.
Oh, what'd you say?
Blue and silver.
Oh, I thought maybe they were green and green. And
That
I'm
would
not
be the-
kidding.
That's
I
Dave's
started to
colors.
think maybe they were khaki. I wasn't trying to be funny. Anyway, the colors in the school where I taught, you walk in and you see the school colors, black and blue and dried blood red. And that's on the teachers. Yeah, really tough. And you know, that the girls next door to my second grade had a gang, and the true story, you know, we were in that neighborhood with the gangs, but because they're in second grade, the initiation was to take the milk containers off of my little girls' lunch trays. So I named them the half pints. And the leader of the gang was the Dairy Queen. Well, fast forward, I see on Facebook 20 years later, the Dairy Queen is like complaining about her boyfriend, Mr. Softy. This is a clean show, Mrs. Dairy Queen, please. Besides, you're getting more action than your teacher. But during Zoom, you know, we go to a lot of mics. God, goodness gracious knows, we go to a lot of mics, and people have amazing backgrounds in their real house. Now, Liz, what is that in the back of yours? I'm not interpreting it well.
Oh, this is actually a three-dimensional view of a mountain range. So I figured for all of our guys who ever fought in Afghanistan or in the mountainous terrains in Vietnam or in Korea, especially for our chosen few, we give them the three-dimensional mountain range in honor of their service and the tough terrain in which
That's so
they fought.
beautiful. And I'm so naive that I didn't know that. I apologize. Because when I go to these Zoom shows, people have like, they go from like beautiful bookshelves and I said, oh, these comics are so intelligent. And then I go on other ones, they have diplomas. You know where I keep my diploma, Brian? I'm a hippie from the 60s. My diploma's in the bathroom, you know, up the pigs and burn the buildings down, you know, in the 60s. So I was like anti. So my diplomas in the bathroom, but it came in handy during the beginning of the pandemic when we were running out of toilet paper. You know, that parchment right through the glass. But boy, it's not good for hemorrhoids, and Linda can relate to that. When you're good friends, you know when each other has problems. But I'm only kidding, Linda. I know nothing about your hemorrhoid, except jokes you might write about them. Anyway, you know, I go to religious school in the morning. I try to learn, you know, the Psalms and all, and the rabbi's teaching us like, let your nechama bring you an eye. I don't know what it means. Then I go to meditation in the afternoon. Let your chakra bring you karma. Well, in the afternoon, they both gave a quiz one Monday, and I got my chakra and my nechama. I got my anaya mixed up in my chakra, my karma, and I failed both tests. Is my time up, Liz?
Oh, you've got 1 minute to go.
Okay, well, I'll tell another joke. You know, I don't know about where you live, David, and I do have some comic friends on Zoom from where you live, and maybe someday we'll play not Jewish geography, because in New York you play Jewish geography. Oh, do you know cousin Sel? She lives in Boca. Anyway, back to this. So I forgot what I was talking about. Linda, what was I? See, Brian's walking away. I don't blame
You
him.
got your chakra combined with it.
Oh yeah, that was before. I was just talking about anyway. I was just, oh yeah, so we have this TV, we have a TV commercial during the day, and it says, it was from one of those like lawyers, and you know, when you have an accident. So this is honest to God what the guy says. Just because you're a victim doesn't mean you have to suffer. Yes, it does. As a matter of fact, get hit by a car and you're a victim, you do indeed suffer. Well, thank you so much for having me in the Bob Hope spot. I'm honored. I salute you all literally for being in the service, really.
Aw.
Ladies and gentlemen, Helene Went. Now, where can we find you next? Where are you at on
Oh, well,
electrons?
as a matter of fact, I'm very proud to say I'm in 2 documentaries. It's just a fluke that they both came out. One's called Still Standing, about 2 comics who, when they were 80, they became comics. Now they're 87 and 89. Linda knows them too. And the other one is going to be on Peacock, October 15th at 6 a.m. But who's up that early? Me. And it's on Peacock, and it's about my senior center Zoom comedy class. And that's called Good Timing. And Linda goes there too. She wakes up early. The teacher always acknowledges her for waking up that early.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, keep it going for Helene Went.
Yay.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, at this point in time, I'm going to hand our show back over to our host du jour, Linda Marcus Smith.
Let's see if she can highlight herself. Jeez. Thank you so much, everybody, for your killing it sets. Every single one of you are killing it. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I said killing it. Helene, that was the best set I've ever heard you do. Oh my gosh. And you've had great sets. I followed you everywhere around the US on both sides of the coast. That's the best set I've heard you do, and you've done great sets. Thank you so much. I'm so glad you came on. What you guys might not know is that Helene has done comedy for the veterans in New York. Do you want to talk about that real quick?
Just quickly, I went to 2 shows, the St. Albans Naval Hospital with John LaRocchia has an organization. It's so touching to see these people live there, and they're paying me. I said, no, take that money back. These people live at this, they're heroes and they're living at this place. So, you know, and then I went out on Long Island. There's a place called Northport, and there's a campus there, and I performed there.
Yes.
And I asked to go back. As soon as the COVID's over here, they're going to have me again.
Great.
So I thank you so much for serving the veterans with your comedy. I know you believe in people healing and transforming, and so you were a special guest for many very special reasons. Thank you so much for your heart and your heart for us veterans. You made the show special. You guys, that's the show. And I just want to thank you each and every time for coming. Those of you at home that are watching, most likely after the fact, I hope you kicked back and just enjoyed the humor for what it was and didn't look for what upset you. We don't need to do any more of that. We've done enough of that. So pass it along, share it with anybody you know that needs to laugh, veteran, first responder, you name it. Let's get the word out. And thank you so much, everybody. You comics are the best. This was the best show ever. Thank you so much. Love you all.
And AHA Broadway, yay for AHA Broadway, our sponsor.
Great job, everybody. Thanks again for having me. Seriously.
Absolutely. Love you all. Thank you,
I'm gonna go
Liz.
give tours of my museum now. Bye, everybody.
Bye. Have a great
Bye.
day.